GoForThe2.com in with the Week 9 college predictions. Again, apologies for the late video. Been a crazy week. You want all the breakdowns, you could tune into Carver and Lisi in college football today on Sports Grid, Sirius Channel 159. I'll break it down in deeper detail. We'll jump right into it. Nebraska last week absolutely abused 56-7. Curtis Rourke, the Indiana quarterback, gets hurt in the first half with a thumb injury. It didn't matter. Nebraska walking through the motions. 5 turnovers, mostly in the second half. It allows Indiana to just extend and dominate and cover that 6.5-point number. Nebraska's head coach, Matt Rule, comes out this week and says he did not expect that. That's on him. They now travel to Columbus to face off against top 5 opponent Ohio State. We know Ohio State is the better team, more consistent heading into this matchup, but I like Nebraska plus the 25.5 points. I think they can backdoor this number somehow, some way. Back-to-back road games, I think you'll get a much better effort out of Nebraska. Give me the Cornhuskers plus the 25.5 against top-ranked Ohio State. Again, it might be a first-half game as well. Nebraska started very slow in big matchups under Matt Rule in back-to-back years. I think this is a different effort, especially it's back-to-back games in the Big Ten. Give me the Cornhuskers to cover the number. Oklahoma gets absolutely abused by South Carolina and Shane Beamer. They lose that ball game by double digits as a 1.5-point underdog. I like Oklahoma's defense. I know their offense hasn't looked good. Michael Hawkins was ineffective, certainly against Texas, and last week against South Carolina. They did fire their offensive coordinator, Seth Luttrell. They're going back to Jackson Arnold. I like Jackson Dart. I like Ole Miss to win the game, but give me Oklahoma with the points to keep it close. Illinois on the road, dominant win over Michigan. Michigan one-dimensional, couldn't move the football last week with Jack Tuttle. That was a gutty effort offensively and defensively out of Illinois. I still believe Oregon's the best team in the Big Ten. They stepped up with that Friday night performance over Purdue, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. 21.5, I think, is way too many points. You still have Luka Altmaier. You have the rushing attack of Illinois. They might slow the game down to keep Dylan Gabriel on the sidelines. Give me Illinois plus the points in this matchup. Missouri on the road against Alabama. Alabama was in control for much of the first half against Tennessee, but ineffectiveness on third down situations. Kalen DeBoer looked like a deer in the headlights in the second half of that matchup, and the front seven of Alabama wore down to Dylan Sampson and the rushing attack. Even though they're at home, I think Missouri's playing with house money. There's a lot of pressure on Kalen DeBoer, and Jalen Milroe and this team overall not to lose this game. It's 13.5. Give me the Missouri Tigers. We saw Brady Cook get hurt. Drew Pine came in. Somehow, some way, they found a way to get the victory over Auburn and cover the closing line of 3.5 points. Missouri on the road, I know they've been inconsistent, but 13.5 I think is way too much. Give me the Tigers plus the points in Tuscaloosa. And if they lose this game, Alabama, you're going to hear it in regards to Kalen DeBoer. It's a rough first start in year number 1. The expectation, the bar is almost like coaching in New York. There is no margin of error, so we'll see how the fan base handles this particular matchup. Alabama with their backs against the wall. Give me the Tigers in this ballgame. Texas Tech abused by Baylor. That was a fishy line, 5.5, 6 points. We knew on paper Texas Tech was the better team, but Sawyer Robertson comes in, never trailed in that matchup. They put the pressure on Texas Tech, never looked back defensively. They forced some turnovers and really gave it to Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders. Now Texas Tech goes on the road to square off against TCU. Line opened up at 5.5. It's up to 6.5. I like the Red Raiders in this spot. I think Taj Brooks could be a factor. We've seen TCU give up a ton of points from the defensive perspective, get wore down by better teams. Give me Texas Tech in the upset. I think they win the ball game outright, plus the 6.5. Miami laying 21 against Florida State. Florida State 1-6. Don't cover against Duke. They lose for the first time in program history. Tons of answers and questions surrounding Mike Norvell. He understands and recognizes the issues, but he's done nothing to solve them. This team might quit overall It's a rivalry game. Miami's lost 2 straight to Florida State in the series, lost last year by 7 points. Give me Cam Ward. This team put up a ton of points against a very good Louisville team. They covered the number 4.5. This is the opportunity to really smack around Florida State, laying 3 touchdowns. I like the Hurricanes to dominate this ball game. Another big game is LSU and Texas A&M. Texas A&M has won the last 3 in the series at home in Kyle Field by an average margin of victory of 10 points per game. But I don't think they have the offensive playmakers to go toe-to-toe with Garrett Nussmeier. We see Caden Durham coming on, C.J. Daniels back in that lineup. We see Anderson, Kyron Lacey, Mason Taylor, one of the best tight ends in college football. Offensive line playing well. They haven't allowed a total sack all year, and I've continued to beat this drum. The way the defense has played, they have 24 total sacks on the year. 22 of them have been over the last 5 weeks. They have been dominant. They've been getting to the football. And quarterbacks, opposing quarterbacks, Whit Weeks is one of the most underrated players in the SEC and all of college football. Leads the team with 37 tackles, catching 2.5. Brian Kelly still has a 700 winning percentage on the road or on a neutral field, dating back since 2017. Give me LSU in the mild upset over Texas A&M. Your 7 picks for the weekend: Nebraska plus the 25.5, Oklahoma plus the 20.5. We have Illinois plus the 21.5. We have Missouri plus the 13.5. We have Texas Tech plus the 6.5. Miami minus the 21. We have also LSU plus the 2.5. And I think that's it. There you go. 7 picks. See you next week.